It was just after midnight when I heard the knock. At first, I thought I imagined it, a soft, hesitant sound that barely rose above the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. My apartment building wasn't exactly the friendliest place. Most of the neighbors kept to themselves, and I liked it that way. I wasn't expecting visitors, especially not at that hour. The knock came again, firmer this time. I froze. My phone screen glowed 12:17 a.m. Who would be knocking on my door in the middle of the night? Slowly, I crept toward the peephole. On the other side of the door stood my neighbor from down the hall, Daniel. Daniel was one of those neighbors you noticed, but never really knew. Tall, pale, always dressed in black. He never joined in small talk in the lobby, and his mail piled up for days before he picked it up. There was something about him that had always unsettled me, though I couldn't put my finger on why. And now there he was, knocking on my door after midnight. I hesitated. Every instinct told me not to open it. But curiosity can be louder than fear. I slid the chain across and cracked the door open just a few inches. Daniel. My voice was barely a whisper. What's going on? He looked over his shoulder nervously before leaning closer to the gap. His eyes were wide, bloodshot, and frantic. Please, he whispered. I need your help. Just for tonight. Don't ask questions. I gripped the edge of the door. What are you talking about? He shook his head. I can't explain right now. Just let me in. Someone might be watching. Every hair on the back of my neck stood up. Someone might be watching? My mind flashed to all the horror stories I'd read online, the true crime podcasts I binged. This was how they always started. I was about to tell him no when I saw his hand. It was smeared with something dark. For a second, I thought it was blood. Daniel, I said carefully. What's on your hand? He shoved it into his pocket. Paint, he said quickly. Too quickly. I'll explain later. Please. I should have shut the door right then. Locked it. Called the police. But instead, against all reason, I slid off the chain and opened the door wider. The moment he stepped inside, I knew I'd made a mistake. He moved quickly, pulling the curtains closed and flipping off the lights. My living room was swallowed by shadow. Daniel, what are you doing? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He pressed a finger to his lips. Quiet. Then he listened. Just stood there in the darkness, head tilted, as though he was waiting for something. Or someone. My heart thudded in my chest. Finally, he spoke in a low voice. You didn't see me tonight. If anyone asks. Daniel. I said, my throat dry. You're scaring me. What's going on? He sat down heavily on the couch, head in his hands. For the first time, I noticed his jacket was torn, like it had been ripped in a struggle. And that dark stain on his hand, it didn't look like paint anymore. Something happened, he whispered. And I don't know who to trust. I wanted to run, grab my phone, call 911. But something in his voice stopped me. It wasn't the voice of someone dangerous. It was the voice of someone terrified. I swallowed hard. Did you hurt someone? He looked up at me sharply. No. Isso é. But they'll think I did. My stomach dropped. Who will? He hesitated, then finally said it. The police. The room seemed to shrink around me. I had let a fugitive into my apartment. What are you talking about? I asked. He took a deep breath. I was walking home tonight, around 11, near the alley behind 7th Street. I heard something, a struggle. When I went to check, there was this man, bleeding on the ground, and another guy, wearing a mask, running off into the dark. I tried to help the man, but his voice broke. It was too late. Someone must have heard the noise, because when I looked up, there was a woman staring right at me. And then she screamed. She thought I did it. My hands were shaking. So you ran. I panicked, he admitted. I didn't know what else to do. And now someone's following me. I know they are. I saw a car trailing me all the way here. The air in my apartment felt suddenly heavy, like it was pressing down on me. Was he telling the truth? Or was this all just some elaborate lie? Before I could decide, there was another sound. A knock at the door. Both of us froze. This time it wasn't Daniel. The knock was steady, firm. 3 times. Then silence. Daniel's face went pale. He mouthed the word, "Don't." My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from an unknown number lit up the screen. "We know he's inside. Open the door." My blood turned to ice. I showed Daniel the message. His hands trembled. "I told you," he whispered. "They followed me." "Who are they?" I hissed. He shook his head. "I don't know. But they want me dead." The knock came again. The minutes crawled by. Daniel paced the room, running his hands through his hair. I sat stiffly on the edge of the couch, staring at the door, waiting for it to burst open. Finally, I whispered, "We can't stay here. If they know you're inside, they'll be back." He nodded slowly. "You're right. But if I go outside, they'll catch me." "Then we call the police," I said firmly. His eyes widened in panic. "No. You don't understand. They'll never believe me. I was the one standing over the body, covered in blood." I opened my mouth to argue, but before I could, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway. Slow. Deliberate. They stopped right outside my door. Daniel grabbed my wrist, his grip tight. His whisper was frantic. "Please. Just trust me. Don't open it." The handle rattled. Whoever was out there wasn't knocking anymore. They were trying to get in. I grabbed the nearest thing I could use as a weapon, a heavy lamp from the side table, and held it tight, my hands slick with sweat. Then just as suddenly as it started, the rattling stopped. Silence again. Daniel and I looked at each other, both of us breathing hard. Then from the other side of the door a voice spoke. "Calm. Cold. We'll be back. And when we are, neither of you will walk away." The footsteps retreated down the hall. A door slammed in the distance. Daniel sank onto the couch, shaking. I sat beside him, my pulse racing, my mind spinning. Who were they? What did they want? And why drag me into it? I didn't have the answers. Not yet. But one thing was certain. After tonight, nothing about my quiet little apartment life would ever be the same. Because when the neighbor knocked after midnight, he didn't just bring a secret. He brought danger to my door.